You guys ready to take a little trip back to the 60s? Yeah! A little place called Gotham City. I think, doesn't Mike look like he's a villain right out of Gotham City? Isn't that something? Yeah. So this first gentleman that I'm going to introduce, God, we loved him as that 15-and-a-half-year-old boy wonder rock. But let me tell you, Burt has actually gone on, some of you may know, has gone on to operate the largest giant breed dog rescue in the world. In the last 21 years, hang on, hold the applause for a second, because you'll clap on this. In the last 21 years, him and his wife have rescued over 15,000 dogs. 15,000 dogs. Yeah. So Burt likes to say that he's gone from the Hate Crusader to the Canine Crusader. So let's make some noise and give it up for the man himself, Mr. Burt Ward.
Only. What a compliment. Thank you, Willikers. I see a lot of friendly faces out there and a few jokers among them.
Yeah, a couple of costumes. So it's got to be hot in this room with those costumes. So, yeah. Well, we have an empty chair, Burt.
Yes.
So how many people were alive for the first run back in 1966, coming up on the 50th anniversary? Yeah. And then now we know him as the mayor of Quahog, Mayor Adam West. Which I'll tell you is almost exactly like his true character. You know, we love this guy to death. He is the classic and the only Cape Crusader, Batman, Bruce Wayne. Call him what you want, he'll always be Adam West! Get on your feet for the classic dynamic duo. You know, we got to give a round of applause to Steel City Con for bringing these guys in and the rest of the great talent that's here. So let's make some noise.
What are you doing in my room? You know, let me say one thing. Andrew, it's so nice to see you here. I hear that you've been very ill.
Yeah.
I've been very ill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no one's here. He sobered up, though.
Oh, we did?
I'm always the last to find these things out.
It would be very embarrassing. Anyway, thank you folks for showing up. I mean, we're the luckiest guys in the world. You know, we don't get the $20 million for the new films. But we have you. And that's terrific. You've really been wonderful. Well, Burt, to get this started,
Yeah.
would you like to tell these folks about dog food?
Well, you know, Adam...
Is that too abrupt?
No, not too abrupt. I don't know if I think, Andrew, did you announce that
mentioned
my wife and I...
intro,
Yeah, my wife and I operate a rescue. It's called Gentle Giants. It's total charity. We've rescued over 15,000 dogs in the last 21 years. Every one of them... Yes, one of them underneath the tips. And in the course of rescuing dogs, we have actually developed a food that we have dogs living as long as 27 years now. No one in the world has it. No company can make what we have. And it's all charity, but it's going to become available in about 2 months. You can go to our website, gentlegiantsrescue.com, and
I eat it myself.
Yes, it's a great condition. But the reason I want to tell you about it is that any of you that have a dog that would like to have your dog be able to live into the 20s and still run around like puppies, this is a complete change. But you go to our website, gentlegiantsrescue.com, and read about it or order it. But the good news is in 2 months, Walmart.com will have it available where you don't have to pay any shipping. And if you like, you know, have your dog a lot longer. We've got them, 22 of them right now, between 15 to 27 years of age. So it's very consistent, and it's all charity. Yeah, okay. Anyway, back to the back room. Back
So nice to hear about your dogs.
So you guys know how this works. My assistant here in the middle of the floor has a mic in his hand. Let's get a line up in the middle of the floor.
Yes.
Black line there. We'll take some questions. We've got,
Right this way.
about
No,
35
put your
minutes
hand up.
left.
Come on up and line up
Any
right
questions, start lining up right here.
here.
Yeah.
You can start when you're ready.
Go ahead, sir. We're all set.
All right, I have a really arcane question for Burt Ward.
What's arcane mean?
I mean, well, I don't know if you can answer it. It goes back 50 years.
Is he talking to me?
It's a trap.
I'm the Riddler.
Sure.
The series is on high definition now, so
Yes.
you can see just everything on it.
Yes.
I was watching the second season, and about Marcia, Queen of Diamonds, around probably
Yes.
mid-season,
Yes.
you take your cape off, and Alfred is putting your cape back on. You've got a gigantic bruise on your right arm as you're putting your gauntlet glove on.
Who was the girl?
It's going back 50 years. Were you in a surfing accident or something?
No, I'm constantly in the hospital from third-degree burns and explosions. Our set was very dangerous. I had a stuntman who didn't look like me, so they never used him. In fact, I would always ask, well, where is my stuntman? Oh, he's having coffee with Adam West. Well, they take me to the hospital. But Batman was a very dangerous show to make. It was a lot of fun. But honestly, and Adam can tell you, there were so many, special effects that involved things where the people weren't really being careful with it. For example, I was tied down in the first episode, if you remember, with Frank Gorshin, the Riddler, on a table, and Batman was supposed to break in through the subway wall. It was supposed to be a breakaway wall, meaning it's built out of balsa wood, so you put a very small charge, everything flies all over the place, and he comes in. Well, in the infinite wisdom of the studio, they forgot to build a breakaway wall. So now you have 2x4s holding a wall together that, some little charge is not going to do it, and there's no time to spend 2 weeks to build a breakaway wall. So in the infinite wisdom of the special effects people, they used 2 half sticks of dynamite, for real, and it nearly blew the soundstage down. I was tied on a table, and the 2x4 came down and broke my nose. But I had a little bit of a pre-warning about that it's going to be dangerous, because you know something is wrong when it's 8 o'clock in the morning, you're tied down on a table, and the people with the special effects are walking past you, and you smell liquor on their breath. That is always a bad sign.
Great question, thank you.
When was the last time you two were in the same Batmobile?
10 minutes ago. We ride around. Batman still drives, right? He drives the Batmobile.
Well, Sonny, of course I still drive. You're not going to take my license, are you?
No.
Thank you, officer. What do you mean? You still drive? Yes. I have 18 cars. I am so rich.
You sound like this Mr. Trump.
We have a lot in common. I tell it like it is, folks.
Good. Amen.
Anyway, next question. Before I horribly embarrass myself, ma'am.
You were surrounded by a lot of awesome stars like Tallulah Bankhead. I think she was the Black Widow, if I'm not mistaken.
It was her last show.
Who was the most that you got really awed at? Someone who, you just lost your breath for, the stars.
Well, every time Burt walked on the set, with those legs and what? Tallulah Bankhead,
Yeah,
and Burgess Meredith,
right.
and Frank Gorshin, because we had such fun together. He was very funny. He was manic in the way he portrayed Riddler. It was really good stuff. And you're right, I was always impressed with these people, because I was just a little farm boy from Walla Walla. I didn't know what to do. I never knew who I'd be standing here with, and they were brilliant, famous people, and I was nothing. I was just fighting, thank you. I was just fighting and clawing my way up.
We better take another question before
Holy
we start crying.
Hi, how are you doing? Good day.
I wanted to ask you, what was it like working with Bruce Lee on the famous Batman Robin versus Green Arrow episode? What was it like working with him? And what particular memory can you remember of best times working with him?
He scared Burt to death.
Oh, no, not at all.
Yes, he did. He did, Burt. I saw you sitting there shaking. And Bruce Lee kept looking at Burt with the worst frown. He just like he wanted to kill.
No, not quite.
Poor Burt just didn't know what to do. Now, he'll probably tell you a story about his famous martial arts.
Well, actually, that's very true. You know, Bruce and I lived in the same complex.
No, Burt. I
Yes.
lived in the same
You
complex
did.
with Yes, I...
No, and we used to spar together. I knew Bruce
No,
before
we
Batman.
lived at the beach together and
No,
we used
don't
to surf.
stop
with
those
him.
rumors.
We just,
But
just surf
trying
together.
to answer the man's
Don't
question.
answer. It be accurate.
I'd be very accurate.
Oh,
Bruce, I met Bruce before Batman.
That's
He
enough.
And I really had a pleasure knowing him and his wife Linda. And at the time, Brandon was like 6 months of age. He trained 7 days a week,
Here
and
we go.
like 8 hours a day.
how
And
many hours?
he trained 8 hours a day.
Minutes, yes.
And we used to spar together. So when we did it on Batman, they had us hold back because they didn't want anything to look really, really real. But my fond memories with Bruce were not in sparring with him, but going down into Chinatown in Los Angeles because he was from Hong Kong.
Well, that's
and
better.
he used to order all the right kinds of exotic foods that they didn't even normally serve. So it was a lot of fun knowing him. And of course, it was a pretty tremendous tragedy to lose him and to lose his son Brandon. But I have great fond memories of that. And one piece of trivia: Bruce's first filmed fight scene of his career on film was fighting me. Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Next question, sir.
Bruce and I used, what?
Hello, this question is for Mr. West.
What?
I'm getting there. I'll get to it, I promise.
Keep it clean.
All right. Gonna be straightforward with it. Family Guy. What is your... What do you think of the character they made you out of it as the mayor of the town? Your voice in it? Have you added your own kind of bits to it? What's it been like?
It's all corruption and graft, and vote for me, damn it. The mayor was presented to me by Seth, the guy who created the Family Guy. And I said, well, yes, I'd like to try this because it gave me a chance with animation voiceover to do a character that was so quirky and I guess not like myself at all. You know, you got a chance to exaggerate some of the nuttier aspects of your personality, I guess. Next question.
Yeah, what was it like to go from Batman to Catman and then be Mayor West and having Peter Griffin and marrying his stepsister?
Oh, don't be silly, just send the check. Let me tell you, it's a big stretch. But that's what we're paid for as actors. You know, you get something in writing, in a script, and you think, oh, I can't do this. It's too tough, it's too silly, it's too demanding, whatever. And you know what? You start to cook with it. And as that process begins to take hold, you finally find yourself in front of a camera doing it. It's really scary. Don't even think about it.
Now, Adam, you've done a lot of voiceovers as
Where's that from?
It's the voice from above. But I don't know, am I allowed to talk about this?
No.
That's something that you guys are working on?
Yes, you can, because it's all over the damn internet. We had a gag order. We were sworn to secrecy. But now everybody knows, Andrew. Go ahead.
I'll let you guys do it. Burt.
Burt, what do you want?
I'm the one that got in trouble for starting this. You know,
Of course.
I don't know if they want to know about this new movie or not.
Well, Burt, as you movie animated. And what they've done, they brought Burt and myself and Julie Newmar back and a few others, and we've done a full-length movie for Warner's. Now what they've done, they sensed that you're wonderful. Hey,
And modest.
enough, Andrew, we don't want jokes from the MC. What happened was that they decided that the 60s were coming back. And indeed, they have pretty much. And you know, what goes around comes around. And so they decided that Burt and I should do another Batman movie, which we've done. And believe me, the script is wonderful. You guys are gonna love it. It's an homage to the comics, to us. It's funny. And you know, Batman was a comedy. As kids, you didn't think so, of course. But I see you there, sir, you're mature. You know that Batman was a comedy, don't you? He's laughing, thank goodness. But we have done this movie. I think it'll be probably 6 months, Andrew, before it's out.
Nope, December 2016.
You have something you know?
Yes.
You could be arrested for this.
All I would like to say about the film, though, I'd like to say something, and hope this doesn't get me as much trouble this time as it was the last time, but you know what our show was about, and you all watched it, right? And you certainly have, many of you have seen the new movies, right? I mean, it's a world apart. You know, it's 50 years ago, and it's today's world.
Oh, we're cute.
What's exciting about this, and I would just want to share with you without really revealing anything that would mess it up, it is in between. It's got the greatest things of what you remember, but it is up to date, and it's a little darker, and it's cool, and it's great, but it's wonderful for every kid, for every mom, for every teenager. It is today's, if we made our show today, this is what it would be, and I tell you, it's spectacular.
Well done, Burt. That's really hard to sell.
And a little fun piece of trivia, Burt, you can help me with this. It has led to these two shortly being inducted to the Guinness World Book of Records for the two co-stars playing those title roles together for the longest in history. So these guys are going to be recognized.
Laurel and Hardy, I guess. But, you know, when Burt and I get together like this on your stage, that chemistry comes right back. You know, we have separate lifestyles. We don't live together in a Wayne Manor place.
Running around wearing tights. At least not all the time.
Trying to fool Aunt Harriet.
Yes, poor Aunt Harriet. She never caught on.
She makes great cookies and things.
Yes.
And I think it's time to go fishing.
Let's take another question from the front.
This is regarding a villain that a star who rarely showed up, but he was one of the legendary masters of horror, and that was Vincent Price.
Yes.
I heard he was just as wild on the set as he was.
Oh, he was excellent.
Exactly.
I have a story about him. He was actually, when I was a kid growing up, I was scared to death of the movies that he did and everything. So when I heard that he was going to be on our show, I was really thrilled to meet him. And he was a very, very nice man. But we had a scene on Batman where I'm captured, if you remember, and Egghead is like got a chokehold on me, and he's got an egg. He's got a whole bunch of eggs, but the scene is Batman's going to come in and rescue me. So they start filming, and first thing is he's breaking eggs over my head, right? Real eggs. Until you've had eggs go down your cape, into your undershirt, and then into your undershorts, and you just haven't lived. But anyway, normally, Vincent Price is such a great actor, he doesn't make mistakes. I mean, he just does it the first time, and same with Adam. But for some unknown mean reason, they both kept making mistakes. So he's breaking eggs. Adam, as Batman, comes in. He says a line, and either Vincent flubs his line or Adam flubs the return line. We went through 12 takes of a dozen and a half things. I was so angry, so just blood in my eye. Let me tell you that when he lets go of me, I'm supposed to pick up an egg and throw at him. But instead, I picked up a whole dozen eggs, and I slammed it on the top of his egg, and his egg moved over. For the rest of that scene, his egg was off kilter. True story.
Hi, first off, I want to say I grew up watching these shows with my dad. Like, he would sit me down and was like, hey, this is what I grew up with, and it's really great just to be able to be right here with you guys. You were my childhood memories with my dad. But the question I want to ask, and in light of you guys doing this hush-hush animated thing, have you guys ever thought of redubbing any of the recent Batman movies, playing the roles, so you voicing over Christian Bale and Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character? And
you can already see that on the internet. No, I'm very serious. They have, I mean, the most recent one was inserting us into Jurassic World. Did you see that? Oh, no, I'm not kidding you. No, it was hilarious. Do you remember seeing that?
It was excellent.
Yeah, and then we're flying in this little circular thing, you know what I mean, or the dinosaurs running around us. And then when this, what was it, this one dinosaur where we were climbing up the wall to get away from a dinosaur, and there was us climbing up the wall. And, they've already done that. They inserted us in that. And there was another movie, and the other Batman movie, the new movie coming out.
Yeah.
They inserted us in. I couldn't believe it. Oh, wait a minute, I'll tell you. In the Jurassic World one, there's a scene where this gigantic, it's not a shark, it's like a megalosaurus or some gigantic thing. What they did is they inserted Adam in the ocean when he had that shark on his leg. They were trying to beat off the shark, as I recall. And they lift him up, and this giant megalosaurus or whatever it is bites him in the air and eats him. And he's thrilled to come back from that horrible experience.
It's not comfortable, Burt. You know, I still have the scar from that rubber shark.
So, no, he's never thought of it. Next question.
But send that kid to Hollywood. He's got ideas.
You did voice work on Fairly Odd Parents. How was it, and did you prefer playing yourself when you were playing Catman, or when you played yourself in that episode where you got casted as a Crimson Chin in a sailor suit?
I don't care. Honestly, I really don't. They call me and I do the job, and like I said earlier, send the check. I'm a realist. We've got to get this country back on track. Next, we have quite a few folks out there. We better
we're going to speed this up.
push this.
Oh, how is it seeing yourself as a Lego figure?
You know, I did the Lego game show, and it's okay. You know, we've got bubbles and all kinds of stuff everywhere now. And I never think about it. Honestly, folks, I don't. You know, people bring them up and I sign them or whatever, but I'm not impressed with myself.
Since when?
All right.
Thank you guys both for being here. It's so awesome. You guys are the best. I wonder if there's anything that is being planned next year for the 50th that you're aware of, anything big or special, other than the animated movie that's coming out.
Yes, they're having celebrations worldwide with fireworks.
I would believe that.
And
Is that true?
some of you in Batman shirts and utility belts will be there. Oh, I'm not sure at all about it. You know, I don't know what they're gonna do, except that I've been asked to do, well, I can't say now, but, oh Lordy, I'm gonna be back. And I'm too old and tired.
Thank you.
We're just curiosities now. Who's this guy?
How comfortable was your bat suit?
He loved it.
You know, I really don't like him. It was not comfortable. The tights were itchy. And that callus was 180 degrees inside. But I still have my bat jammies.
What did you call your tights, Burt? You had a name for your tights, didn't you?
My python pants.
Right.
They nearly strangled me to death.
You kind of sums it up. Sir.
Thank you so much for coming. This is awesome. The two of you have climbed many buildings. And while you've been doing it, you've seen a number of cameo stars. And I'm just wondering, as you were climbing up these buildings, which were probably your favorites that you had on the show?
Go ahead, Burt.
Well, there were quite a few, I mean, and very diverse people. Like, for example, years ago I used to go to Hawaii a lot, so when Don Ho, who was a very famous singer, came on the show and opened the window, that was great. I think Tiny Bubbles, and then Dick Clark, I was introduced out of costume for the very first time on his American Bandstand. I followed this group that had just come out called Sonny and Cher. And then we had Betty White, who of course is an animal, dog lover like me. So we've had some wonderful people. I think you were excited about the Carpet King that was on the show because you were hoping to get free carpets for your
No, I was excited about Betty White.
Holy nookie.
And we never knew who was going to pop out of a window.
They didn't tell us, and that was part of the fun.
It was a surprise, which was wonderful. You see Sammy Davis Jr. singing and popping out of the window, and it presents itself as an opportunity to do a little improvisation and ad-libbing. And it really worked. The guys who produced our show, Bill Dozier's, the late Bill Dozier, I thought he was brilliant because he had the great talent of being able to mix talent, put it together. And,
He had a very famous line. He'd say, I'd rather be an innovator instead of an imitator. And for television, to be an innovator is great because almost all shows are copies of something else.
But we were certainly... What?
I don't know. Where are you going with this? I'm falling asleep here.
Vaders? What kind of Vaders?
No, imitators.
No, I know. That's brilliant, Burt. We were innovators.
That's correct.
Thank you.
All right.
Yes, look at you.
Are you standing in a hole? Or are you sure?
So, what?
It's hard to remember, isn't it? Darn, when you get that thing in your face, that microphone, it's hard to talk. Yeah, what's your name?
Kaylee?
Good! We got that.
He's so dramatic.
Do you remember? Do you remember?
So, when you were Batman, then, how did you turn back into Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson?
Well, he only turned back to Bruce Wayne. I turned back to Dick Grayson. We have our bat poles, so we slide down, and everybody says, how is it that you can run to those bat poles, slide down, and all of a sudden be dressed? How can you change so fast? And the secret is, we had a wardrobe man who slid down the poles behind us and helped us get
It's movie magic. They use the scissors. Come over here. Come up here. You're so nice, you know, to ask us a question like that and everything. Thank you. Who are you with here?
My dad.
Where's your dad?
Back there.
Yeah, I see him waving some kind of light. It's really nice to bring you here. And thank you, darling. Really, that was great.
So, folks, if we didn't get to your question, my apologies. I am the bearer of bad news. I invite you guys to go over to Adam and Burt's table and join them and come and say hi, ask the question if we didn't get to, but let's get on your feet and make some noise for the classic.